Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of the Take a Sip podcast. We are on episode 5, and I am so excited to have you guys back for yet another episode. Today, I have a guest with me who's been a longtime friend of mine, and I am really excited to get into some motherhood topics. If you guys can't tell, she's pregnant with baby number 2, and we all know, or maybe we don't know, but I'm a mom of 3 as well. I have 2 boys, 1 girl. Don't want any more, don't want to see anymore, don't ever want to think about getting pregnant. Send me the plan B, send me all of it, because I'm not doing it again. Even a new dog, okay? But if you guys are new here, make sure you guys listen to us here on YouTube. You guys can also listen to us on Spotify and on iTunes, and I forgot where else.
Apple? You said Apple already?
I think so, yeah, Apple, yeah. Wherever, we'll be there. You just show up with your ears and we'll be there. I'm going to introduce my guest. This is Jeanette, and I'm going to allow her to give a little intro of herself. She's not new to the camera. She's actually on TikTok. So she shares quite a bit of her life as well, and she has a very unique, unique vibe on her socials. It's very her aesthetic. Her home is very your aesthetic too. It's super cute. Everything just matches her, and I love that. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say thank you, Jackie, for inviting me, little me. If some of you guys remember, if you guys have been following Jackie since she had Gia Monet, we used to make videos on there. Remember, we used to do the girl talk.
Yes, we did. If you guys are not new here and you guys remember Jeanette, there's a lot of people that do remember you, though.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that do remember
that time,
you.
They'll be like, oh, you're from Gia, huh? Like, you're that girl from Gia. Like, they'll literally tell me that at the mall and stuff. So, yeah, I know maybe some people recognize me or remember me, but yeah, we're back here. It's been a few years, and I'm married now, and I have the second baby on the way. So, been through the whole first-time mom thing and everything, and I have a lot to say about it, so.
And if emotions run high, we're so sorry because there's hormones in the room.
Yeah, like I was like, my voice is going to crack like 2 minutes in, so I apologize for the
It starts cracking right now.
I know, I was like, I need to get it together, so hopefully I do a good job, but yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be 33 in June, so again, like I said, I'm married, and I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, actually, so.
A stay-at-home mom, but you do side hustles too. You do like side things too. So she is a stay-at-home mom, but she's not like a stay-at-home mom where she's just with her son. Her son's name is Wesley. She's not just like with her son. She's like doing other things. She always has like a lot of DIY projects and like freelance. Busy. Yeah, freelance work. With the exception of, I believe, these first few weeks in your pregnancy, they were a little bit traumatic.
Let's say months.
They were a little traumatic.
Like, right now I am just a stay-at-home mom. Let's just say I'm just a stay-at-home mom right now.
Dude, okay.
Which isn't just. There's a lot to that, too.
She said she'd just be in bed laying down. She gets bed sores.
Yeah, I was struggling.
Yes, I'm just a stay-at-home mom right now. Right now I do nothing. But she's always actually a very productive person. I don't think that you're a very good homebody in terms of like sitting still. She always gets herself ready. She always glams herself up. I did want to talk to you about like some of the things that you went through maybe post Wesley. So when I first met Jeanette, one of her biggest fears was actually having a baby. Not necessarily having a baby, but the pregnancy process and like having to deal with like whatever pregnancy came with. It was a big anxiety of yours to actually get pregnant and carry a baby, whether that meant the exhaustion, how that was going to affect your anxiety or your mental state, but especially like if you were to get sick, right? Like if you had to throw up, that was like a big fear of yours. Yeah. And I don't think Wesley gave you any really problems, right, during your pregnancy. But what about this one?
Honestly, I don't even know how the hell I got through 2 pregnancies technically. No nausea. I didn't have morning sickness again, which I feel like so lucky too, because I know a lot of people have it bad, and sometimes people even have it their whole entire pregnancy, which was one of my fears too, because the thing is that my sister, I have 2 older sisters, so I have one that's she's actually your age, so we're just 11 months apart. But she had in her first pregnancy, and she was a teen mom, so she had the HG, which is when you're vomiting like literally the entire time. She traumatized the fuck out of me. At the time, I was like,
so maybe 15. It wasn't your rational fear. Maybe it was her watching her.
No,
it's
still your fear. In my shit. Yeah, there's fucking a lot of things to my.
I'm a mess.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll just like openly start talking about it.
Go ahead.
Was it in regards to that, like kind of?
No. Yeah, go ahead. Take the mic, girl. Take the mic.
Okay, so the biggest issue that I had, or I guess like the fear that I had, was I have emetophobia. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It's called emetophobia or emetophobia. So pretty much, it's the irrational fear. Like it's an intense fear of vomiting, which sounds...
And it's real, like dead ass. If I hadn't experienced her in the office and like the trauma that she had from it, I really wouldn't believe it. Like I'd be like, okay, it's really not that serious.
No, and honestly,
but it was serious. Yeah,
I don't blame you. It's actually, when I, like, Googled it, so for a long time, I just thought, like, oh, I'm just a little bitch, to be honest. Like, I was like, I'm just scared of everything. I thought that. So I thought, like, this is stupid, you know? Like, how are you afraid to throw up? Like, I know no one likes to throw up. Like, I'm not saying that you're gonna like to throw up. I know no one likes it. But it's not just not liking it. It's, like consumes me, like consumes people that have it.
And you wouldn't, like, if you were not feeling well, she would not make herself throw up. And I'm like, dude, if you just make yourself throw up, you'd feel so much better. Because I am that person. Yeah. I'm the person that I'm like, oh, I feel nauseous, I'm gonna make myself throw up.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that.
I will get up and I'll stick my finger in the back of my throat and I will make it happen.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I feel better. And to me, I can't rationalize how people would want to suffer feeling sick when you could just force yourself to throw up. But for you, it was like in reverse, like you rather go through the suffering until it passes, so that you don't have
like
to
the goal is to just not even throw up. Like, who cares if I'm already like?
Who cares if I'm sick for 3 weeks?
It's gonna make me feel better. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm trying to avoid it the most that I can.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just like me being like dumb, like being scared, and like I wouldn't really tell people because I was embarrassed. Because I've had this since I was like in 2nd grade. So I remember like what the trauma was too. So I thought it was in real. So then one day I just Googled it. I don't know. I think I was maybe like 18. I Googled it and I put like fear of throwing up, and literally like that word, like emetophobia, came up. And then it started saying that it was in the top 10 most common fears. And actually, now that I go like online and stuff, and I've seen people be more open about it, and a lot of girls actually have it. And even when I posted about it, they'll message me and they're like, "Oh my god, I think I have that," you know, because I've had those like same thoughts and patterns and stuff. And I think even Jenny69 has that.
I think that's a very common thing for people to be afraid of throwing up. And I think that there's like different intensity levels.
Yeah,
just the same as like I think people have anxiety, like social anxiety. Like it's a very common thing, or like seasonal depression per se. It's a common like thing amongst people.
Yeah, and like you said, there's like different levels to it, because I've read about it, and then I see people that I'm like, okay, they're like on a whole ass level, like they don't even eat, like, you know, it's because that extreme. They're afraid. Yeah, some people are like so extreme that they don't even eat, or like they just like literally will not, no matter what, won't ever like get on a plane, or just like do a bunch of like little things that you think like, why don't you just get on it? Who cares if you throw up? But like that's not how that fear works. Like that phobia doesn't work like that. Like it consumes the crap out of you. So it's definitely gotten a lot better for me. I've tried to do like different things to try to get over it. Exposure therapy, because I was even going to counseling to try to get over it, solely for the purpose of getting pregnant for the most part.
Legitimately, you guys, like this was like a repetitive thing. Like that was her fear. Like, okay, if I get married, like he's gonna want a baby.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, and I was like, dude, it's really not that bad, like, because I didn't experience also any sickness, really, in my pregnancy, so I was like, you might not even get sick, like, it's not really, like, for everybody.
It's not for sure,
it's like, some people do and some people don't, just depends on what your pregnancy is meant to be like. I say God gave you some grace. He was like,
I know.
She's already a little crazy about this, so I'm not going to torture her.
Well, actually, what's funny about it is that it says that usually people that have the phobia is people that don't very likely throw up, because you don't have no experience. You don't have any experience with it, so that's why it's like such a big deal, you know, as opposed to someone that's throwing up every other day, you're like, fuck it, what's new, you know? So
let me just do this.
Yeah. So I've literally could count on my hands how many times I've thrown up in my entire life, and it's like 3 or 4 times.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Jeanette.
Like,
that's how seriously you hold it.
Which one's the real wood? I don't know. I the last time I threw up was when me and Toño started dating, so that was 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh, you haven't thrown up in 9 years?
Yeah, and honestly,
I literally threw up Mastros like a couple months ago. Like,
you're like, I threw up right now.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know, and it's crazy because my husband has gotten like stomach viruses, and like we've like kissed, and then like 2 hours later he's vomiting, and I'm like, great, I'm gonna get it, and I don't know why I dodge it. It's weird.
It's because of
that's what also intensifies it more, because I'm like, oh, I dodged it. Okay, now it's
now
really
this time now it's gonna hit me.
Yeah, so that's
so
what
totally
creates
messes with your mind.
Yeah, like it's good, but it's also like, okay, like it's prolonging it, I guess.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, so, but it's gotten better because of that. I've been exposed to it, and I'm like, okay, well, I have no choice but to help my husband, like, you know, so that's why it's also gotten better. So yeah, and then obviously becoming pregnant also helped me as well.
Okay, so what are some of the things that you've dealt with in pregnancy? So what we really want to get into with you guys is kind of what happens after you become a mom. That's really where the nitty-gritty is that we want to get to. But what would you say has been like some of your difficulties aside from that in pregnancy, and then in comparison to like becoming a mother, and like how that changed you?
So besides me, you know, possibly being sick, like that was like a fear, but also to like just knowing that freedom that I always had, because I didn't have my son until I was 30 years old. So, you know, my whole 20s, I just knew how to be alone and, you know, do whatever I wanted. So that was also another fear that I thought, like, I'm not going to be able to just pick up and go. And, like, how am I going to, you know, like, I don't want to say that I was selfish, but I've always been, like, really in tune with myself. Whatever I feel, I try to, you know, work on it or, like, whatever. So I've always been very into myself, I guess you can say. I have a good relationship with myself.
Yeah, when you know that you're not right. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think that in this generation, too, I feel like, obviously, there's a side to where people in this generation don't want to have kids because they feel they can't afford them because of the way that the economy is, because kids are expensive, and that's a very rational thing. Yeah. But I feel like on the other side, a lot of people in this generation and a lot of younger people have realized that, you know, it's really... you have to become so unselfish. And a lot of people can't wrap their head around being unselfish. And I think it makes so much sense. Like, I totally respect that. Because even myself, I had my first kid when I was 23 years old. And my kid's now 10. And I don't regret the time frame because now my kid is 10. And I'm like, hell yeah, 8 more years, bye. Yeah. Just kidding. Not really, but for real. No, but I understand that thought process too, where it's like you want to be selfish. Like, I missed out on those years of like sleeping in my 20s and doing certain things in my 20s. I do them now in my 30s, but still, it's like it's never a perfect time. But regardless, I understand people's rationale now, and in terms of being in tune with yourself and like just being selfish with your time. But would you agree that there is no perfect time, even if you, because you're always gonna want to do something, right?
Yeah. And I think, too, when you're younger, you think, like, oh, I'm 28. Like, I thought, I always said I'm not going to have my first kid until at least I'm 28. That was always my mentality, my goal. And
stop putting a number on it.
Yeah. But for me, it did work. But anyways.
Manifesting queen.
Yeah. So, I just think even then, like, if I'm 20 and I say that, I think 28 is so old. I'm like, oh, at 28, I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have this and that. So, like, it'll be fine, you know? I'll be over the vomiting. Like, I had all those thoughts. Like, I'll be grown already. But then you're 28 and you're like, why the fuck do I still feel 20, though? Like, you literally feel so young still. And
you're like, I'm not grown.
You think it's so old, you know? Like,
yeah.
And it's not. So.
Especially when you're having a good time, because I know you were having a good time with Toño. She's been with her husband for almost a decade now. Yeah. So obviously they were boyfriend and girlfriend first. And they did have like a good time together too. So it's like you're enjoying life as it comes. And it's like you're not really thinking of the future. Again, I feel like you did something more of what this new generation is doing. More of like the enjoying, more of the like living a little bit more, and like, holy smokes, 25 is young. Like I like at 25, people are still learning how to do their laundry these days and shit like that. You know, so it's like it's different, and I think that you kind of went that way as opposed to like a more traditional Mexican household, stereotypical, like, okay, you're 18, and then, you know, when are you gonna get a boyfriend, and when are you gonna get married, and when are you gonna have kids? Like, that wasn't the path for your life, but I think also stems from your fears, getting over some of those fears, and then also like really understanding yourself and like, oh, can I really do that?
Yeah, and just also to knowing like mentally, like, am I, you know, stable, or just in general, I feel like both of my babies have been planned. So even being planned, it's like brought up a lot of difficulties and just like struggles, you know. So I can't imagine like just, you know, not that it's bad or anything, like to not plan your kids. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for me personally, I felt like I had to plan it because I feel like I had to feel prepared to a certain extent. You're never fully prepared, but at least to a certain extent. And also because, you know, like the person that you are, like your qualities and just like the way that you deal with things, like your kids are going to see that, and that's how they're going to grow. So I think it's like really serious, you know, to try to be, at least have good morals and a good understanding too, that you can raise your kids, you know. So that's something too that I was looking forward to improving.
And then in addition to her saying like them being planned and stuff, like, again, like she said, no hate to anybody who didn't plan their kids. I didn't plan
that,
all my
that
kids.
could honestly happen to me too. Yeah. Like, you know, it happens to anyone.
But point being is, regardless of them being planned or not being planned, there's never a perfect plan. Like,
yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to say that.
I'm sure it's like you have planned them, but then you're like, damn it, I should have built that before I did this. Or dang it, I should have done this before I got pregnant because now I can't. Or dang, we should have took one more trip before I got pregnant because dang it, you know, because when you're in it, you're like, oh, I wish I could do this. Or, oh, you know, I wish I could. Like, there's still things that you want to do because we're human. Not because we don't desire the baby less, not because we love the baby less, not because we don't want it or whatever. It's just because we're human, and like every day we feel different, and every day we have the right to feel whatever we want to feel. And if that day you're like, dang it, I missed out on doing this, then you're entitled to feeling that way. So that's why I'm saying that there's, whether planned or not, it's still never perfect. It's
still hard.
Yeah, and life still keeps happening. So you see life happening around you, and it's like life for a pregnant woman is different than for anybody else, because you have to consider your emotions, your hormones, your body, your aches, your pains. You know, there's so many more things to consider that like a person who isn't carrying a child doesn't have to consider. Even going out somewhere, like with your husband, if they're smoking too much, like you can't be in there.
Yeah.
If there's, you know, too much ruckus going on, like it's
even
not
certain foods, like going to go eat, or like you're like, oh, well, I can't have that. Okay.
Yeah, so then you're like, then your partner is kind of like in a rock and a hard spot, because they're like, they want to enjoy certain things, and it's like, but they want to consider you too. So it's just never a perfect time and place to be pregnant.
It's just like, as soon as you're pregnant, you're already sacrificing, you know? Yeah. You're already sacrificing drinking, you're already sacrificing what you're eating, and it's just like so many things, and it literally starts the minute you're pregnant.
It literally starts the minute you're pregnant.
Well, the minute you find out the stick, because you probably would have been drinking before, but I think we all do.
So just wait for like 3 months. If you think you're pregnant, don't take a test till 12 weeks in. Just kidding. So you can keep taking shots because it's stressful. Yeah. Okay, so you had your first baby. How did life hit you then? I could describe mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I was 23 years old. Huge difference in age, right? Also, too, I wasn't in the best type of relationship situation. I know for you, you had a better relationship with your husband. You guys actually did have a very planned, loving wedding, and like, you guys did things right, as opposed to the way that I did things. It wasn't really like the correct way, and it wasn't really the best place to bring a child into the world. But I will say that having my son at 23, it was like scary. It was so scary. Obviously, we've said this multiple times already that you're not prepared, but you are, like, I was not prepared.
Even, like, negative prepared.
I was, like, not prepared. And I think, I mean, like, not prepared in the sense of the aftermath of having a child. So when I had my son, I was 23 years old, and I was trying to figure out who I was as a person.
Yeah.
And then you throw in trying to figure out who I was as a wife, and then all of a sudden a mother at 23 years old, and then also trying to figure out my career and what I wanted to do for a living and my plans. And it was like all these things at once. And I remember feeling like the baby came and my whole entire universe revolved around the baby, and nobody else sacrificed, I felt like
you do,
like I did. And I feel like even if you have the most supportive partner, because I know that you do, they still are not at the same capacity that you are as a mother.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was being consumed with this new life, and their life was the only thing that mattered. And I felt like I didn't matter anymore to anybody, nor myself. Because then you get the phone calls of your mom calling to check in on you, and it's like they're not checking on you. They're like, how's the baby? You know? And like your sister's calling, and it's like, how's the baby?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about you. Everybody becomes about the baby.
Yeah.
Friends, family, everybody. And so you're just like, holy smokes, nothing is about me anymore. And I think that when I was trying to adapt to those feelings and like trying to figure it out, I remember that one day I put my son in his crib, and I remember he was crying hysterically. And the only thing that I could think of was I went to my living room and I sat on the couch, and I had to put him in his crib because I lived on the 3rd story, and the only thing I kept thinking is like, what would happen if I just let him fall?
Yeah.
And like these are some real ass thoughts, and I literally heard it in my head like the crack of his skull. Like if I had dropped him, you know, like, and I was like, but I couldn't talk to anybody about it because my kid's father at the time was like, oh, that's a cop out, or these feelings are a cop out, or everybody does it, like, why can't you handle it, like all these things. So I couldn't even be expressive about the things that I was going through and all of these thoughts that I was feeling. So the only thing that I could think of was to put my son in his crib and let him cry. And I literally sat at the edge of the couch, and I was like, what the fuck? So I remember the next day I went to eat with my mom, and she just asked me like about the baby, and I just like started crying. And I was like, this can't be it. Like, this can't just be my life. Like, I cannot, like, how did I go from being myself to all of a sudden nobody identifies me as me? Now I'm just Jackie the mom. Or now I'm just Eli's mom. How am I, like, everything that I was barely trying to figure out became non-existent. And I felt so completely lost. And my mom did tell me, like, you're so blessed, you know, that you have this opportunity to raise your kid. And I'm like, but am I really though? Like, am I just that? Like, am I really that blessed? Like, maybe you say that because you got to go back out to work and like be around people, and your whole life didn't just revolve around me, your kid. You know, so it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, you're going to say I'm lucky for this, but I'm going to say you're lucky that you got to go and socialize. Or that you got to get out of your house. So it's like a double-edged sword. And I remember suffering for such a long period of time that I couldn't even feel love or an emotional attachment to my child because I felt like I was on survival mode.
Yeah, because you are in survival mode. And the thing is, too, that when you're a first-time mom, you think that that's it. Like, that's the baby's going to matter, and that's it. Like, it's never going to get better. It's never going to get easier. You're just a slave.
And it feels like that.
Like, you're just a fucking slave.
It
that's
literally feels like
never
that.
sleeping and just accommodating.
Titty out, diaper. Titty out, diaper. Wash the bottle, diaper. Change the baby, shit through the clothes. Like, that's your whole life.
Yeah. And you just think it's going to be like that forever. Because I did. And some of the emotions that you even said, I felt them too, you know? And I was already older and different. So it's hard at any age, I think.
Yeah, and it's definitely very life-changing. Like, it's very, like... It's hard to explain unless you've had one. Unless you've had a child. It's hard to explain those feelings of, like, who am I?
Yeah.
and like you sit with yourself. And I think that that's the most depressing part, is that you try to figure out who you are whilst like trying to feel like, damn, am I a horrible person for not like loving my kids so much more? Like, and you start, that's, I feel like that's where mom guilt begins to stem from.
Mm-hmm.
And then from all these people telling you like, you should be so happy, like congratulations, and you're just like, bitch, I'm dying. Like, what about me? You know, like, I'm somebody still. Like, what about me? So you went through that too. So how did you deal with that? Like, how did you like get out of that space? Did it take you a long time? Like, did you talk to somebody? Like, what was your saving grace? Because for me, it was, I had to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get a job. Any job.
To socialize.
I just had to get a job.
Feel like you're doing something else besides that.
And I missed my baby. Like, I would cry at work and I would feel my boobs because I breastfed my son till he was 1. I would feel them and I would like miss him. But then at the same time, I was just so thankful that like I could sit down and have lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And like not worry about the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would be able to talk to grown-ups.
Yeah.
Like that felt so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because I had like such a naive thought while I was pregnant, and I thought like, oh, the hardest thing I'm gonna endure is labor, right? Like that's what I was thinking. I was like, but once I have them, you know, then I could just focus on being a mom and everything will flow.
That would be so
mentality.
cute.
And I've actually heard other girls that are first time moms say stuff like that, like, I just want the baby to get here and then I'll be good. I'm like, no, you're not. That's when the shit starts, you know? Like,
have
I
you
feel like
seen
that's,
that?
Yeah.
That TikTok trend where the moms right now are posting like, oh, I thought I was going to be the mom that never, like, let my kids have screen time and we're going to do activities.
Oh,
and I thought I was going to be the mom that made food for them and then they bust out all the snacks that they have from the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Everybody
then you get
that.
to know yourself as a mom, too, as you get older and seeing, like, oh, I'm this type of mom. Oh, okay. You know, like, you just don't know. It's like a new discovery, honestly. It is.
It really is.
Yeah, so I thought it was going to be like, ooh, like, it'll be like flowing and it'll be good, right? That's what I thought. But honestly, like, even the moment when, like, he came out, like, they put him immediately on my breast and I was like, okay, like, can I breathe? Like, they literally put him immediately and I didn't, like, expect that, I guess. Like, I was, like, trying to look at him and then they immediately tried to, like, latch him on and I was like, okay. Like, can I breathe, you know? Like,
I literally just pushed it out.
So I actually felt it, like, immediately, actually. The pressure. Yeah, the pressure immediately. And, like, even in the first night while I was at the hospital, like, I was, like, breaking down because I didn't know, like, how do I take care of him? How do I hold him? Is he okay if I do this, if I do that? And I even remember I even broke down to, like, the nurse.
Yeah.
And, like, because Toño was all sleeping. And then, because he was so exhausted from being up all night. I was like, okay, whatever. But anyways, and she was even like, you're doing a good job. Like, you're doing a good job, Jeanette. Like, she was telling me that. And I remember, like, I won't forget that because she was being, like, so sweet. And she even, like, took over and was, like, doing, like, literally being the mom right there. She saw that you were having a mental breakdown. She was like, you're doing good. Like, she was trying to reassure me and stuff. She probably knew, okay, her emotions are crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But when I brought him home, I just remember because also, too, I did it 2020, like, straight COVID era. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, the vaccines weren't even invented yet. People were not, like, you know, everybody just masked the fuck up. So, like, that was another issue with me because it even felt even more isolating because, honestly, like...
You were home alone?
Yeah, and honestly, like, my mom would sometimes be like, oh, want me to come over? And I'm like, no, because, like, you know, at the time I was so sensitive that I was like, I don't even want you guys, like, it sounds fucked up, but, like, I don't even want him, like, around because, like, what if you have something and then he has it? I just saw that he was, like, so fragile, you know, and I remember telling my sister, like, he's so fragile, and she's like, yeah, but so are you. But I just saw it so different, like, you know, I had to protect him and, you know,
just more worried about like, him and his well-being than your own.
Yeah, so I had that up, and then also, too, a pressure that I gave myself was, oh, I need to be able to do it by myself because my mom did it. Everybody does it. And I can't be like, not a cop out, but like, I can't be like depending on other people to help me when like this is what I chose. Like,
that's a
I
standard
chose
pressure,
to
though.
be a mom. Yeah.
I feel like that's a standard pressure. I feel
like a lot of girls would just be like, yeah, mom, like, help me and stuff, which is nothing, no hate, because now I see, okay, with this one, they gotta help me.
I feel like it's a standard pressure for us that saw our moms kind of do it all.
And you know that they did it alone, too, because back in the day, men were not, like, as, you know, as, I don't know what you would call it, like, as,
yeah,
you know what I mean,
I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying.
They were as helpful, I guess. It was more like macho, or at least.
And they were out working and stuff or whatever. Yeah. And super macho culture. Mm-hmm. I do get what you're saying, though, because I remember, too, like, or now that I think back and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I have a daughter. If you guys didn't know, I have a daughter. My daughter's 4 years old. Obviously, one day she's going to become a woman. And one day I hope to be a grandma. And, I would die to be a grandma to my baby girl's kid, you know? And one day I hope to become a grandma, but I cannot imagine my baby girl going through what I went through alone.
I know.
Like, just me thinking about my daughter having to, like, you know, go up 3 flights of stairs with a car seat, with a brand new C-section, getting up every hour, like, I'll be damned. I want to get in a position to where I don't ever have to work at that age, and I can be present for my kids and for their parenting years, because it really makes a difference to have a village of help.
Yeah.
And like me picturing myself, I'm like, damn, you really did that. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm so proud of myself for doing that. I'm proud of you too. But if I could take it all back, I would rather step on the pride and, like, somebody fucking help me.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Like, please help me. Like, so I could take a break.
Yeah, so I could sleep.
Sleep. Yeah, and actually, like, love my kid. Like,
or eat.
Eat in peace. Anything. Take a shit. God damn. Like, shower. Mm-hmm. There were days where my hair was so greasy, like, milk stained Chi-Chi shirt. Like, and I just was, like, on survival mode. Because it was constant.
Yeah, like the first week, like, the first 2-3 weeks, I was literally every day, all day, on the couch, crying. While holding them, while feeding them, everything. It was just straight crying.
Were you expressive to your partner about this? Or were you trying to hold it in and trying to be like super Jeanette, super mom, super new mom? Were you expressive? Did you feel safe to be expressive? Because not everybody feels safe to be expressive, hence my case. So, did you feel safe to express some of your feelings, even like the craziest thoughts that you had? Like, did you hold back? What were some of your experiences?
No, I was like pretty open, and you know, like sometimes he'll call me. My husband would call me like after work, and he'd be like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'll just like cry, break down. And I think it's not. I never held back, but the thing is that was like kind of an issue too for, I guess, me and my husband. Is my husband he lost his sister, like she passed away like 8 years ago, and when she passed away, like the family was like, you know, obviously devastated, but emotionally he was the one that was like literally like taking care of everyone. So I think like he built up like this barrier where he felt like I have to be the strong one, because if I'm not the strong one, then everyone's just gonna, like, you know,
and collapse. You just wanted somebody to feel the feelings with you type of vibe.
Yeah, and like the thing with him is that has kind of made him a little awkward with people going through something difficult. He wants to fix it. He's like a fixer. Mm-hmm. So when I tell him he wants to fix it, well, what can we do? And I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to talk. Yeah. You know, I just want to talk about it. So I would tell him, but I think he sometimes wouldn't understand, you know, like he'll just think like, I don't want to say that he thought that I was complaining, but it was like more of like he saw it like he doesn't understand. Yeah. Honestly, at the end of the day, they don't understand like that. Yeah. It's literally something you cannot control. Yeah. You can't.
And sometimes you really do just want to talk. Like you do just listen to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and he wants to fix it.
Yeah, and he wants to fix it, which is not a problem, but sometimes it's like it can be a problem because you just want to express. Yeah. And you want them to like be receptive and understand, like, I know you're a new mom. Mm-hmm. Cry to me, babe, or tell me all your feelings or whatever, instead of like, what do you want me to do? Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't want you to do shit, just fucking listen.
Yeah. And like, even then, like, there's one time that I told him, like, I'll never forget, because you just literally said like the perfect thing. One time when I was really struggling, it was the first night that my baby was back. that he was home, and I remember, like, I told him, like, I was literally so exhausted, like, I couldn't even, like, see straight. And I was like, I had put him down, and I was like, do I just go to sleep? Or, like, do I have to stare at him the whole night? You know? And it sounds crazy, but those are, like, your thoughts, you know? And I thought, like, I can't go to sleep. Like, what if... I gotta check if he's breathing. Like, and they kept telling me the SIDS, and I was...
huge panic.
So scared, you know? So, and he's like, yes, like, go to sleep. And I was like, I can't. And I just, like, literally broke down, and I would just remember crying, and I was like... I even made, like, some, like, psychotic-ass noise. Like, I was like, like, you know, like, some crazy thing. But it's just because I felt so incredibly, like, never in my life I felt that overwhelmed and so exhausted and everything's hurting. And I just remember crying, and he, like touched my forehead, and he was like, you're doing a good job. Like, like, you're a great mom. I'm like, oh, there it goes. But it's just, like, I just remember how I felt, and, like, that he said the right thing, you know? Yeah. Like, he wasn't trying to fix anything at that point. He was just like, you're a good mom. You're doing a good job. And
I feel like that's such an underrated, like, comment.
Words. Yeah, like, he, like, literally will make a difference, a huge difference, you know?
And I think that applies to anything, like, in life. If somebody were to just validate, like, hey, but you're doing a great job. Yeah. Then you're just like, I am, huh? You know, like
I literally was able to, like, sleep after that, because he, like, reassured me, and then also just, you know, and I even asked him, like, why did you tell me that? Like, why, in that moment, why did you feel like you wanted to tell me that? And he was like, because I just thought about everything that you went through and your emotions, and, like, you know, like, your intentions are good, like, for our son, and you're just trying your best.
Oh, so he knew exactly what to say. Where's Toño?
But then he also has, you know, his moments where, like, obviously he might feel frustrated too, because maybe maybe that day when I broke down crying, he had a long stressful day, and maybe he was tired. So, you know, that's another thing with, you know, like,
having a new baby
in a relationship. It does change and create different, you know, different
stressors
and expectations, you know, that you've never expected before.
Yeah, and just adding babies to the mix, it's like, you're already, like, constantly, I mean, your partner, if you're in a good relationship, I would say, or with a person that's good, like, people are always evolving. If they are, like, a person that is good, you know? I feel like people that are, like, good for us are people that are always, like, growing and trying to evolve and, like, do better and change and stuff. So I think that when you have a healthy relationship and your partner is, like, evolving, they're trying to figure it out too. And it's like, how do you guys find that common ground to have these conversations in a healthy way, where, like, you want to express feelings, but you don't want to say the wrong thing. And it's like, how do we deal with this? You know, like, how do we figure this out? And he probably had his own feelings too, you know?
Yeah. And he's even said before, like, sometimes I feel like people think you don't have any feelings as a dad, like, as a new dad. Yeah. Like, you're just great, you know? And he's like, there's a lot of different things too that men feel.
His concerns.
And just, like, you know, your new expectations. And now, even if him being a provider, like he said, he immediately felt, like, a sense of
responsibility,
even more now, to go to work and, you know, like, provide for both of us, not just me or, you know, us.
Yeah. And again, I feel like it is a very underrated thing to give that compliment. So even if you were to give it in return to him, saying, like, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for everything that you do. Like, we wouldn't be here without you. Yeah. It's like, dang. Thank you,
it's
you know?
It's so simple, you know, and sometimes people overcomplicate it by thinking they have to say this and that. And it's like, literally just say those words.
The simplest things,
thank you, and appreciate, and it'll literally make the world of a difference, you know?
Yeah, even if you just had a psychotic breakdown. And you're fucking ripping your weave out.
Even though he saw, like, the demon in there, he still was like, you're like, rah! But it's bad, though. You know,
it is. Bad. No, it is. It is, especially with the hormones raging. Yeah. It's unexplainable. I mean, even with, you guys gotta hear me on this, like, your period. Even with your period, me on period week, I know there's a day where I'm gonna put on a sad movie because I want to cry the whole day.
Get the emotions out.
And I want to cry. And like, if you have a problem with me crying, then that's not my problem. Like, I want to cry that day. Yeah. I'm gonna send you sad dog videos. I'm gonna send cry with me.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so that's just a period. So imagine like pregnancy and having a baby and like dealing with all these things. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And then too, like, I want to touch base about like the identity thing. Like you said, like, oh, I'm 23 and I'm trying to like figure myself out and everything, which is like really valid because at that time too, I was really trying to figure myself out. And I felt like I got to a place where I really knew who I was and I had done things to make me like get over like fears and just like little things that, you know, honestly helped me like grow. And even then I was like, okay, I got this. But even then, immediately after I had my son, it's like everything went away. All the hard work that I did with myself was done, like, because it wasn't about me anymore. And now it's like a new
and you have to adapt.
Yeah, and you have to adapt. And now I have to relearn who I am.
Because it's somebody new.
Yeah. So it's even then at 30, like, you know, it was still
death
so
to the
hard.
Old Jeanette.
Yeah. Honestly, that's how it felt.
Every kid, it's been death till the old Jackie.
Yeah.
Every time.
Really?
Something changes.
It doesn't, you know, your second or your third, you feel like, oh, okay, I kind of really, no. Well, that's not.
You're like,
I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be good, but here we go.
You're great.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have extensions, bitch. You're going to be ripping them shits out. No, I do feel like every child has been a change because it's like, times change. Whatever's around you changes. Your financial situation may change. Your needs of your kids may change. How you love one kid is not how you love your other kid. They have different love languages.
Yeah.
All three of my kids love them to death. They come from the same home. But they're three very different people with three very different types of love, types of communication. How I address my oldest is not how I can address my middle child.
Yeah.
How I address my daughter is not how I can address my oldest. Then you throw in the variation of their sex, male and female, and just everything. It's like adapting. So not only do I have to adapt to my life changing again and having a new child and what my career, like how I'm going to manage my schedule, but I'm also adapting to how I'm going to deal with different people because they're different people. And if you're like that involved of a parent, you do realize that they are different people and how you deal with them and not deal with them because I feel like that's a harsh word, but how you communicate with them. Is
how you raise them.
And how you raise them. Even though you have the same values and morals, the way that you communicate and relay the message is different. It has to be different. Because they won't receive it the same. It's like you and your sisters, you know that you guys are different. And the way that you communicate is different from your sister. And so it's this like constant changing thing. So I think that every time I've had a child, it's death to the old Jackie, death to the old Jackie. And here's a new version of me because this new version has to come so that I could be a parent to both my kids. Yeah. To be efficient to both my kids. And you're literally stretched thin. And you're like at the tail end of that, you know, because it's like they come first, you know.
She's pregnant right now.
You're like, didn't think the woman's No, I'm like, you're at the tail end in terms of like, you're at the tail end after their needs, but you're always first. Yeah. And I feel like
if you know that that's important.
Yes.
There's some people that literally will put themselves last.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. Me and Jeanette are here to tell you that you come first. Yeah. You legitimately come first.
And I think that's
you
something
do not
that you
put yourself first,
you're
fucked.
Yeah. I think it's something that you learn too. I think as a mom, like I said, you get that mom guilt, oh, I'm doing this for myself, I'm this and that, I'm away from my son or my daughter or whatever, and you feel like it's not right. Yeah. You know, it's not right. So I just think like once you start really noticing again, being in tune with yourself and seeing what works for you, what doesn't, what makes you this way, what makes you unhappy, and you know, what makes you lash out at your husband for no reason, things like that, then you start to realize, oh, okay, like I need to put myself for priority. I need to be happy. Yes. Then everyone else around, everything will flow better. Yes. If I'm happier. Yes. So it's I think it's definitely something that you learn.
We are here to free you from the shackles of feeling guilty for putting yourself first. You cannot be the best version of yourself if you do not put yourself first. And I am like a walking like poster billboard for that, because Jeanette's known me for a long time. Jeanette, the person that you knew me to be several years ago, I was last.
Yeah.
In comparison to the person that I am today.
And then too, I would notice the times that you would actually like do stuff for yourself, like whether it was like get ready at you know, because you didn't really used to wear makeup.
Nope.
She would always come in with no makeup, and you know, like,
just no time for me.
Yeah, just start doing work and stuff. And then there was times where she would be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna film a video today. I'm gonna do my makeup," and then, you know, she'll do that, and then she'll make her videos, or you'll take pictures, because I used to take a lot of pictures and photos for Gia.
Yeah.
And like you would get like so many likes, and I could see like that you were happier that day or in that moment. You know, I felt like you were different.
Yeah.
And your mood was different.
Yeah.
Even just doing that.
Yeah, and it makes a difference because it makes you feel good about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that should always be the priority. And I notice myself now different as a mom too, because I have time for me. So now that I have time for me, I feel like I'm so much more of a present parent, and I'm so much more effective in communicating with the kids because I have time for me. I prioritize myself.
Do you think that if you had them full time right now, you would still feel that way? Or do you think it's because you get that actual like break?
No, I think I would. The part of them having having them part time, I'm grateful for, because I didn't make the kids by myself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the other parent needs to be responsible, period. Exactly. Like, I did not make them by myself. You get them half the time. That's it. But I think if I had my kids full time, I still would have time. I would still carve time for me. How I would do that? They're in school full time, daycare, whatever the case may be. Because to me, it's not about the quality time with the kids. Now that I've gotten older, now that I have an understanding, and now that I've experienced the things that I've experienced, it's not about the quantity of time. It's the quality of the time and what you guys do with it. Because I could have them at home all day, but if they're at home all day and I'm cleaning, I'm cooking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, we're running errands, I'm not spending quality time with my kids.
Yeah.
It's just them being there and we're together all day. And it's back to that survival mode. So putting them in school, having them involved in things and their after school programs or whatever allows me the time to take care of the things that I need to take care of during the day, and maybe have a lunch date with you, one of my friends, go run an errand, do things for myself, go shopping if I feel like it, do it in peace. And then when I pick up the kids, guess what? My phone's away. I'm chilling with them. We're watching Disney. We're popcorn. I'm the mom. Like, I literally bathe my kids still. My 6-year-old, like, I bathe them. They get massages. My son even he literally lays down a heat pad. Lays down on the heat pad. This is dead ass, my kids. Lays down on a heat pad. He goes, okay, I'm ready for my massage. Like, you know? And that's quality time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that if I was just saying, oh, they're with me all day. Just to say they're with me all day. And I did this all day, even though I had the kids with me all day. Hell no. Go to school, and then when we hang out, it's quality.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends, it's like, we all sleep in. They sleep in my bed. And then we get up, and we do pancakes, whatever, go to the park. It's always quality over quantity. And I feel like a lot of that is underrated. I feel like a lot of moms want to feel like, oh, well, they're with me all day, and I take them to do everything. And it's like, okay, well, I know you're fucking dying, bitch.
You know you had a meltdown.
Oh my God, I know that you're not really enjoying your kid because you're surviving. You're surviving. So I think if I had them full time, regardless, I would still have them in something where I have time to do things that are required of me, and also have time for myself. Like go to lunch, have dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
Things like that. And if I needed to on the weekends, I would get a fucking nanny. Because there's things to do on the weekends too, or events to do on the weekends or whatever. Like, I would get a nanny.
Yeah.
I would get that help if God allowed me to.
Yeah.
Or my mom.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, you need to, dude. You gotta put yourself first, because you cannot be the best version of yourself for anything. Not even for things that you want, for your own dreams, your own desires, your own everything. Do you feel like you lost a part of yourself in becoming a mom at all?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I mean, I was newly married, kind of, I guess. Like, we were married for a year when my son was already there. So also too, like, I felt like I kind of lost myself in being the mom and the wife, you know. And then again, like, the whole COVID thing really sucked like everything out of me too. So it took me a long time. I honestly feel like I didn't feel like my new self till probably a year later.
Yeah.
And that's a long time. You know?
I think that's normal.
But I've heard that that's actually normal.
Yeah, it took me about that long.
Yeah, like medically or technically, it's like about a year. It takes a whole year to recover.
Yeah,
like
because hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hormones and just when you think you're like already 6 months postpartum, it's like now you got rage. Now you want to kill people.
Yeah. You're in the car, you're like, get out the way, Becky.
And you're like, oh crap, like this is not me, you know, this is still something that's coming down from being pregnant.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
it really is.
Crazy.
Okay, so you're now in a better place. What are some of the things that you feel like helped you get to this better place or helped you get to finding you again? Because I don't think that there was like a formula. Like if somebody were to ask me,
yeah, like what did you do?
What did you do? It's like it's hard to say, but I think it's just more so recognizing.
Yeah.
Like becoming so self-aware and knowing yourself so well that saying, hey, I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like recognizing that and then doing things that make you feel good. Because I feel like people want like a magic pill. Like this is the answer. Like,
yeah, and like a lot of people
if you do this, you will be fine. Yeah. If you eat strawberries, you're going to be happy again. Like it's really not
that simple. Because I think it's so too like personalized to how you are. And I do think it's important to kind of know yourself because you know, like your triggers or what brings out the best of you or not the best of you.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's like a process. Obviously, at first you're like really, really lost and you're just trying to figure out like, you know, what do I like? What do I want to wear? What, you know, this and that. So
adjusting to your mom body.
Yeah, adjusting to the mom body. Yeah, that was hard too. So, what was your question? You said
pregnancy brain. No, I'm saying like people want like an answer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So what did I do? Kind of.
Yeah, like what did you do? Because people want this answer, but I feel like it's very individualized.
Yeah. So like I said, it's very individualized. So for me, I think it was just changing my mentality about motherhood. So
once you became self-aware that you were like going down the spiral,
because I just felt like nothing was doing it. And I also felt like, I think the biggest realization that I had was I got the postpartum rage, like, pretty bad with my husband that, like, I couldn't even stand him.
Yeah.
Like, he would, like, breathe or, like, you know, just do something. Just exist. And, like, no, but for real, like, I was like, oh, like, I literally can't stand you. Like, I literally felt that way about him. And like, it wasn't necessarily that he was being bad or anything. I just had the rage, and I think for me, it was just like, oh, like, you get to still be, like, go to work and be free, and, like, it was almost like a jealousy type of thing. Resentment, and, like, that's not really his fault, you know? Like, he's doing his role that he, you know, he wants. So I just feel like it was, like, resentment and, like, build up, and, like, I just remember, like, thinking, like, we've never even, like, argued to this extent. You know, not that, like, it was crazy, but it was the most we'd ever argued in our life. Like, the most intense and the most hurtful things. Like, I would say hurtful things to him that I didn't even mean.
Yeah.
Like, I would say it right after, and I'm like, well, how do I take it back? Because now I'm going to be like, so more psychotic, you know? Like, because it's literally like that. Yeah. Like, your hormones are, like, literally raging.
You're like, oh, I'm sorry.
In my head, I'm like, oh, okay, how do I fix this? Let me go back. Let me just start another fight about something else.
Hopefully you'll forget about this one.
Yeah, so I started noticing that, like, it was starting to go, like kind of, like, not where I wanted it to, and I just felt like it wasn't fair. So I started, like, looking up, like, is it normal? Is it common? And then I started seeing that it was. My sister actually had her son, like, 6 months after mine. So I asked her if she felt that way. She told me, I feel the exact same way. Like, I don't even want him breathing. Yeah. Her husband, you know? So then I started saying, okay, you know, like, this is something that I have to get through. But I also feel like a lot of the frustration was, again, because I felt resentment. Like, he was still his person. And he was still able to go do what he wanted and, you know, do things. And not that he wouldn't tell me to do it, but I felt guilty. Like, I can't do it.
It was your own self-imposed restrictions.
Yes, I was restricting myself.
It was your own self-imposed
he'll literally be like, go somewhere, and I'm like, I can't because then I have to do this and I have to do that, and and it's like I was putting that.
We punish ourselves.
Yeah, I literally was punishing myself.
We literally do that. We literally punish ourselves. We put ourselves in that place. We tell ourselves like, no, you're a mom. You can't do that. No, you're a mom. No, what about the baby? This. Oh, if you're gone for 3 hours, like.
Or like, what is he gonna do if I'm gone and he's having a meltdown? I'm like, well, he's gonna figure it out. Then I started thinking like, well, he's gonna have to figure it out like I do, like he's the dad. So it's like he needs to also figure it. I need to give him time to grow as a dad too.
Yeah.
So me doing that is also giving me time, So I felt like the times where he would force me almost to leave the house, like I felt I would come back and I felt so refreshed.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a tiny bit.
Yeah. Even at Target for a few hours.
And then I was like, oh, okay, like I do notice that I feel different when I do take the help.
It leaves for a whole week.
I know. Go on the next day, I'll come back at 2 a.m.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I felt like it was felt good, and even then I felt like it feeling good felt guilty. I'm like, should I be happy about being away from him?
You're like, I missed you.
Yeah, so it was like constant battle, and like it does take a while because, like I said, you just go back and forth, and then that's when I started realizing that I was on edge more too because I wouldn't do anything for myself. So then I, obviously started by me just getting ready like on a daily basis.
I feel like that's so again, this is specific for like you.
Yeah.
And I feel like you getting ready is such a big part of your identity.
Yeah.
Specifically because Jeanette has always been somebody that I've known for the longest time, even before you worked for Gia, everything. Like, part of who you are is, like, your look, your aesthetic, your style. Like, not just the necessarily getting ready, but I think it makes you feel good to be creative and put outfits together, to be creative and do your makeup a different way and try different things. Like, I feel like that brings you such a joy.
Yeah.
And that's not for everybody. Like, for somebody it could be just going outside and sitting in the sun, but I know for you specifically, like, that is a joy. And it could, like, me getting ready doesn't make me feel as good as I know it makes you feel, because it's part of, like, you. For me, getting ready, it's like, okay, I got ready today, hey, go me. But for you, I feel like it's a creative expression, and that's like a huge part of your identity.
Yeah, and then also too, I feel like I was like so shy, growing up, and I felt like clothes really helped me like not be shy. I don't know, and brought out like confidence and stuff. So like it started with clothes. So I've always been like huge into like styling and just like certain things, certain brands. Like I've always been like that. So yeah, it definitely is something that was like, oh, okay, I'm still me. I would get dressed and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still me. When I would get out of the shirts that were like you said, milk all over them and things like that, shit dripping, on them.
Yes.
Yeah, like literally shit on them, and like fix your hair. I'll be like, oh, okay, like I'm still this person, and it would remind me. And something too that I would do that was really kind of silly and I guess embarrassing a little bit, but I used to make videos, and they were like a lot of styling videos and just like, me getting ready, and I would watch them to try to like remember like, okay, that's who I am, like to try to like.
I don't think that's silly. I think that's so healing.
Yeah, and I've actually even done that this pregnancy.
Like, okay, that's me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I used to like that. I remember that. Like, it's like almost like getting to know myself.
You're like, hey, I know her. Hey, you're scrolling, you come across one of your own videos, you're like, she kind of looks like me.
Yeah, and like, I'll literally watch my videos, and I was like, oh, like, okay, like, I still like that, because it's that intense that you lose your identity that you don't even feel like, well, what do I like?
Yes.
And like I said, I've spent like my whole 20s like very with fashion and style and like just in general, like it's been such a huge identity. So once I started doing that helped too. And also too, I became a stay-at-home mom without wanting to ever be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So that was like also like a huge identity that I had to, and like I said, my mentality had to be changed in order for me to be happier. So
you had to accept where you were in life.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that we have to learn to do that. We have to learn to accept that things change, that we're not always going to have the life that we expected.
Or that you don't even know what you're going to want to do either.
Yeah, because you can find the joy in anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about finding the joy in the everyday.
It's your mentality and the way you think about it.
Yes.
That, maybe to you it's not the same, but for me it was more like, okay, like I just remember that I would always tell my husband, like, I feel like I'm not doing anything, I'm not contributing financially, like I feel like you're the one that's working and things like that. And it wasn't until he told me, like, and I honestly really do thank him, because if it wasn't for him telling me that, like, he sees the positive in things, and I don't always. So it's just, if it wasn't for him telling me that, I wouldn't see it different. And I kind of shared like a little like dialogue that I wrote about on my Instagram one day, but it was pretty much me saying that he told me, like, right now, like, your career is like so important, which is raising our sons, our baby, and like, you're doing so much. And my husband, like, honestly, I don't want to like ring him up or anything like that, but
he'll be here.
Yeah, he was raised with really good morals, and it was because the mom was also like a stay-at-home mom, and she was very dedicated with him, and she's always told me like the things she would teach him and just like being present for him, and I feel like it really made a difference in who he is. So I felt like that is true, like, this is my career, and this is like,
it's a big deal. You're raising a human being.
Yeah, and it's a really good opportunity that a lot of people wish they had, even though it's not easy. It's not easy, but it is rewarding once you see that, you have the time and the patience and the love to be able to give them. Because if not, you, like you said, like, you're like pretty much just getting through it.
Yeah.
You're just getting through it.
Surviving.
Overrun. You're picking them up from, daycare, whoever's watching them. Now you're going to go, cook. And then now you're going to go to the grocery store extremely fast. Like, I'm trying to get it in and out. Rushing, shower real quick, go to bed, and then all over again.
Yep.
Which is some people's reality. Like, they have to, So that's why I'm saying, like, I think just changing my perspective that, like, I'm lucky to be in this position is what makes me feel more grateful about it, more fulfilled, knowing that I'm doing that.
I think that it's a blessing once you do learn to change your mindset. I say this all the time, and I think it applies to everything in life, is having that mentality, like, damn, I have the opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so thankful that this is my opportunity. I'm so thankful that, I get to get up and do this. And, like, I think that if you change your mentality in everything, to be accepting of where you are in life and enjoy that journey and that process, then it's that much better for you, because you really start to feel those feelings of, like, dang, like, I'm so lucky, or like, dang, I'm so thankful. And, like, I think that Tonio has done a really good job when he has had the opportunity to say some impactful things for you that have made a difference, that have allowed you to shift your mindset in terms of, like, him acknowledging, like, hey, but don't you realize, like, how important this is? Like, this is so important. Like, you're raising our son, and, like, and then that gives you value. It makes you feel like, I am so important. Like, my role here is so much bigger than I give myself credit for. Yeah. And I think it's so amazing to have a support system. But if you don't have a support system like that, we're here to tell you, like, the sooner you start accepting where you are and accepting that things are not always going to be the way that you anticipated, then the happier you'll be.
Yeah.
The more joy you find in every day.
Yeah. And even just being the opportunity to be home, like, and take care of our home, and, have, our dinners, our family dinners, and just, like, little things where it's not rushed, and I don't have to hurry up or feel so stressed out. Like, I just feel like it's important to create, like, a happy home as well, like a good atmosphere, not just a roommate phase, because that you fall into that easily after having the baby. And I just feel like that gives me an opportunity to also, like, spend time with my husband and make our marriage, like, great, not just
for your home.
Yeah, for our home. So just that too, I started seeing that, and then I just feel like it has always been, like, a big thing, like, what I'm doing for work, or, like, to feel like I'm doing some type of creativeness or something, right? And it has always felt like it's kind of my identity, like, oh, I do social media, or I do this or do that. So, like, that was really hard for me too, as well, because I also have, like, a bachelor's degree, and I just felt like, oh, like, why did I go to school if I'm just going to be the stay-at-home mom and all this stuff? But I just feel like my career can wait. Yeah. And it's just, like, a few years that, they'll be in school, and then from there I'll figure it out,
Like, whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of us are, it's hard to decide what's best for your home when you're still trying to, like, be you. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you've done a really good job of, like, still being you, because I see it even with Wesley. Like, you're still, like, creative. You're still doing you things. Like, you're creating things for him, like things that he's wearing, and you're matching outfits, and you're still, like, very creative. You're still you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you thrive so much more. I feel like you thrive so much more, and, like, you have this safe space to, like, be home but still be creative when you're home, and, like, you still get a little bit of you in there. I don't know how much that will change when you have another baby, or if you end up deciding, like, you know what, I'm happy like this, and you decide, you know, that your bachelor's degree doesn't mean anything to you anymore. You know, it was a phase in your life, and you did it, and okay, cool. Like, you're in a new phase, and life changes, and it's about adapting to whatever is changing.
And it's so hard to, like, being the stay-at-home mom, because I feel like a lot of people just think, like, well, you're just at home, like, you know, all this.
No hace nada.
Yeah, and there's so many men that are so, like, oh, well, you take your husband's money, you know, and it's like.
Okay, but those men are garbage. Any man.
But I'm just saying, like, people have, like, this.
We appreciate men here.
Yeah.
We appreciate men who provide here.
But I'm not gonna lie, I also had those thoughts about stay-at-home moms. Like, oh, you know, they just stay home and stuff. So, you know, I got humbled real quick. You know, and I'm not afraid to say that, because I feel like you don't know. You don't know until you don't know. Like, you won't know. And it's not your fault that you don't know something that you have no experience with.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel, too, that that's been hard to overcome, too. You know, little comments and, like, you know, things like that. You're like, oh, fuck, like, is it true? You know, but then it's like, the way I see it is, like you said, you didn't make the baby by yourself.
You didn't.
And a lot of women are just like, oh, well, you know, like, they let it slide. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting it slide. Like, and I just think that the way we raise our son is we both make the paycheck, because if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be able to just go to work and pick up and go, and he wouldn't be comfortable, like, not having to do pickups and do all that. Like,
if you decided to remove yourself from the situation, and you said, guess what, I'm gonna leave you and the kid, I'm out, I'm gonna go do me, how is he gonna do it? How is he gonna have that home? How is he gonna give Wesley that life? How is he gonna give Wesley that attention? He can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. He would be on survival mode, and he wouldn't be able to have a home. He'd have a house. You could try to have a home, but it's not going to be the same. It takes two.
It's so much value that I'm adding, honestly, too. Like, he's adding financial value, obviously. But I'm adding different type of value that money can't even buy.
No.
So, you know, that's the way I see it now. And I see it different now that.
Hey, but life humbled you, huh?
It did humble me. I'm happy that it humbled me.
Yeah, because I feel like, again,
I wouldn't grow.
We always make these preconceived notions about things that we have no idea about. Or, like, we think that we could put ourselves in those shoes. Like me, dude, totally off topic, but me saying, like, oh, I would never stay in somebody who cheated on me.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people.
And I fucking stayed for 2 years. And I fucking begged. Like, on my knees and shit. Like, no dignity, no self-respect. And I said I would never.
But also, too,
but there I was, life humbled me.
But I also feel like, too, that obviously, like, built up, like, character and, like, taught you, like, a lot of different things, you know?
No, definitely it did. It was definitely life-changing experience, but it's, like, it's just saying, like, we make these, like, preconceived notions about what we would and wouldn't do, and, like, all of these assumptions, and it's, like, okay, but no, not really. Like, this is what happened. And I feel like now when I talk or when people ask me for advice and questions, I feel like now, knowing myself and knowing the things that I've experienced, now I could say, well, I would do this. And I think that I would be, like, that would be factual for me now. As opposed to, like, before, like, just saying, oh, I would never do this or I would never do that. Like, it was different then. Now that I've identified who I am, now that I know my expectations in life, what I want, etc., now I think I'm very much more structured, and I can make educated decisions and give educated advice, and not just say, like, oh, fuck that, I would never, you know?
Yeah, but also I think, dude, the fact that you're, like, honest about doing that, you know, staying, begging, whatever.
Yeah.
It also makes people be like, oh, okay, like, I was that too. Like, I'm that, or I was that.
Yeah.
Instead of you saying, like, well, I didn't stay. I fucking told him to leave. And
dude. I even washed his feet once.
Okay, I don't know about all that.
I did. I swear on my life.
Really?
I did, yeah. Because I had read something, like, biblically that said, like, something about, like, having the humility to, like, forgive and, like, I don't know. I don't remember.
But it was just doing I was just
trying to figure it out. Yeah, like, trying to figure it out. Like, trying to deal with, like, the emotions and, like, just everything. Like, I was genuinely, like, so lost and trying to figure it out. And, like, but again, I didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. I didn't know myself. I didn't have any self-worth, any self-love, anything. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I'm trying to figure these things out. And like you said, life humbled me real quick. Mm-hmm. I said I would never, and there I was evering. Yeah. You know, and same for you. Like, you were saying, oh, stay at home mom this, stay at home mom that, or making your preconceived notions and judgments. And lo and behold, this is your life now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, now you would hate to be judged for that, or hate to be misconstrued as, oh, I don't do shit, because you do a lot.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like those comments would like kind of hurt me before, but now I don't, because I'm like, you literally don't fucking know. Like, yeah, you know, you don't. First of all, you don't know my relationship. Second of all, you don't even know like what I'm actually bringing. You know, so you know, even now, it's like, even when you leave those comments that are like when you make your videos about the, you know, no 50-50, and people are commenting like in general, like, just beings like, oh, I would never stoop down to that, or I would never, you know, financially rely on a man, because then what if he leaves? It's like, well, then what if he leaves and it's a different story? You're gonna fucking get a job and
you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, like, you're not just gonna stay there like a pendeja tampoco, like, you know. And I just feel like people are so quick to say that, and it's like, just stop. Like, we're in different mentalities, we're in different like parts of our life that you literally cannot even say what. You can't compare. You can't compare, and you don't understand. Yeah. You know?
If you're still in that mentality, I actually was just having this conversation I was on live, and I was having this conversation because somebody asked, like, I don't know, something about like 50-50, and like, I don't remember, but I was like, I would never go back to doing 50-50 because I know the problems that it caused. And I know that it caused making my husband at the time feel emasculated, and I never gave him his place as a man. So that already is a huge problem. Yeah. And not that he was ever gonna provide, but it had there been a possibility, I had already that opportunity. I already emasculated him. Yeah. You know? And then I already was like, well, I make more money than you, so I could pay for this. And then I put him in a feminine space as well. So it created all these problems. So I'm like, I've already been there, done that, you guys. Like, there's nothing that you guys could tell me. And then somebody made a comment like, oh, you're gonna have to wait extra long, and I said, that's fine. Like, I will wait. If that means if that means I don't have to settle, like, I'm not gonna settle. I will wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
But those same people are the people that just literally do not believe that's even
a thing. And if you don't believe it for you, then it's not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're always like, oh, well, I'm going to do that, but I'm always going to have this type of, you know, guard up, then good luck. Because with that guard up, you're never going to allow it. You're already failing. You're setting yourself up to fail already.
You're going to lose. Yeah. And I know what value I bring, and it's not just monetary. And this is not saying that I would not contribute, because I would contribute everything I make. But then there's husbands out there that say, I don't give a shit what she makes, I don't care, like, I'm the man here, I'm gonna provide. And they're like, well, her money's her money. Yeah. And ideally that's what I would want. Yeah. Ideally. But if that doesn't happen, then I would just want somebody who's like, well, anything you bring's extra, babe, like, whatever's extra, you know. And like, not that pressure, you know, of like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. Because that's what I want. And who are you to tell me that I deserve otherwise? I know what my value is. Yeah. I know that I can be somebody's backbone and stand behind somebody and be that value that you say that nobody... It's like you can't put words on that value of like being at home. You can't. There's no words. You can't.
And I think obviously it does depend on your relationship too. There's, you know, there's men that are like really macho, or like, okay, well, you're going to stay at home, well, then you're going to cook, you're going to do this, you're going to...
I'm not doing that either.
That I have food, you're going to make sure this.
You're going to make sure you make enough money for a chef, sir.
Yeah.
but that's me, you know? Like, that's what I want. That's not me settling anymore.
Yeah.
I'm too grown to settle.
I feel like the more specific you are, too, with what you want, it's more likely to happen because you're so specific with what you want, you know? I don't think it's a bad thing at all. No. People are like, oh, you're asking for a lot. Okay, well, then obviously you're not the one.
Bye.
I think that's a lot.
Hey, next yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could talk about that all day too, but
we'll have another day where we talk about 50-50. Maybe when Tonio comes. Tonio will be a guest, Jeanette's husband. He's going to come on the podcast, and we'll be sitting down together. I think that would be a great topic to have with Tonio and kind of have his input.
Yeah.
On his
and like a different perspective.
Like a different perspective and how their household is, whatever they're willing to share in terms of that. Just to wrap things up with just finding yourself again. If there's any positive words that you want to leave, like, girls with or women who are pregnant or having a baby or, like, just anything, any last parting words on this conversation.
So, real quick, like, kind of you saying that you were trying different things to fix your marriage. I was trying different things to find myself again. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of stuff that, you know, I tried doing, like, little side businesses or, like, maybe, like, a new idea or something to fulfill. And there was, like, you know, I would make an account and say, oh, I'm going to do this and do that and do this and do that. And I felt kind of silly doing it. But now that I look back at it, I don't feel, because I feel like I was trying to figure out how to be a mom, how to do all that. And I feel like now looking back, I think it's kind of cool to see that I was trying different things and not giving up on myself. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you're trying different things and you're like, you know what, I want to start a business, and you start the business and you're like, it's not really working out for me because it's causing too much strain or time away from my family. Let me try this. I feel like it's okay, and don't feel embarrassed to try different things and see what works for you. You know, right now I'm just at home, like I said, and right now I'm pregnant and I wasn't feeling well, so now I'm better. But I was doing, like, the TikToks and getting ready on the side, so it gave me some type of, like, purpose and, like, you know, me finding myself again. So I think it's okay to try different things. I think trying different things is healthy, even though maybe it's not always going to be successful. So I think just, putting yourself first is definitely essential. And I think that also with pregnancy, I don't think a lot of people talk about pregnancy being hard, you know, not just physically, but mentally. I think for me, pregnancy has been mentally hard both times. I think being the first time, because I didn't know what to expect. I was so scared of vomiting and just, like, all these emotions. But I think even the second time it has been like that, because I even had, like, a little bit of, like, prenatal depression. I kind of told you about that.
Yeah, you told me about it, yeah.
And I think that us complaining, I know there's been a lot of social media stuff that's like, why do you complain if this is what you wanted? Or why do you complain if, you know, this and that? It's like, I think it's fine to complain. Mm-hmm. I don't think complaining is bad.
Me neither.
You know, I feel like people don't want kids have made so many videos saying, like, oh, well, like, no one wants to hear you complaining when this is what you chose. It's like, well, you chose to be with a deadbeat and you're complaining, so why do I gotta listen to you, and why is that okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's okay to complain. My husband, when I would complain in the beginning, he was like, you're not happy, huh, that we're having a baby? I'm like, it's not that. It's just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of emotions. You lose your identity for a little bit as well. And it's just a lot. And I think it's okay. And I think I want to say, like, it's...
If you want to bitch in the comments right now, bitch in the comments. Yeah, tell us your complaints.
You have to vent, and sometimes the stuff you say is really raw, and people take it wrong.
Oh, and the sensitive generation, yeah.
Especially in the sensitive generation, but just, like, in general, like, I just feel it's okay to complain, and it doesn't mean that you hate your life or that you hate being a mom or that you hate kids. Like, you know, it just means, like, you're struggling, and it's okay.
Dude, literally, I have my kids every other week, and they still get on my nerves.
Yeah.
And I see them every other week. Like, I still see them during the week because I see them at their sporting events and stuff. But even though they're only with me, like, one consistent week and then the next week with their dad, they still get on my nerves. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to feel bad for saying that. Mm-hmm. Like, they're kids. It's what they do.
Like, you're expected to deal with hard-ass shit and then just stay quiet.
Yeah.
And smile through the bullshit.
Yeah, like, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really not. I feel like the more you can allow yourself to actually be honest with yourself about the things that you feel, the more you leave room for the happy places. Because it's like you let yourself feel the things and then you're like, all right, I'm done bitching.
Yeah, you let it go. Like, you literally let it slip out. It's better than being bottled up. It really is. Then you freaking explode and now you're saying all this crazy stuff and it doesn't make sense. Like, where did it come from?
Yeah, like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah,
like, you were just fine.
Yeah.
And then you just snap out of nowhere and everybody's just so confused. Yeah.
And I feel like it's healthy to vent.
It is.
You know? And I just think, like, people take it so wrong on social media, you know, like, and I get it, but also, like, if you're not a mom, you don't get it.
Yeah. No, but then there's those moms.
Yeah.
There's those moms. Why you lying, girl? I seen those moms.
Oh, yeah.
No, have you seen those posts that the mom's like, I cannot imagine being away from my kid.
I see that shit. But then those two are toxic because then you think, like, oh, well, then you feel guilty when you're a new mom.
Yeah, then you start to feel guilty,
and then you're like, oh, okay, well, why do I think that? Maybe I'm a bad mom.
Yep. And then you start to feel like shit about yourself.
Yeah, you just have to learn to be yourself, and like you have to learn yourself as a mom. Yes. See, like, what you're okay with. Not all moms are going to be your type of moms. There's moms that I have been around or try to make friendships, and I'm like, okay, you're not my type of mom. I can just tell by how you are, and you're trying to put up like, oh, I'm so like a perfect. You know, my son doesn't eat this, my son doesn't this, that, like, and it's like, I can't be with you. Like, I'd rather be with moms that are, like, more raw. Yeah. Tell me, because I don't judge them like that. If anything, I like that they're being raw.
I'd rather be with, like, your kid is, like, over there, like, in the dirt, and he picked his nose and put it in his mouth at the same time, and you're just like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. That's my vibe, because I'm like, dude, kids are kids, like.
And there's moms that are, oh my god, no, put your hands, like, don't do this, don't do that, and I'm like, I can't.
Me neither. I can't do it because I don't drive. Dude, I feel like you just add so much more stress to your life by adding that pressure.
But again, you learn who you are as you go. You know, you learn what type of groups that you could be in or like friendships. And I think too, it's incredibly like good to have a mom friend.
Yes,
it really is. Or even if it's your sisters or like. You know, anybody, like, I have 2 older sisters, and they're both moms, so they help me a lot, too.
And somebody you can complain to, like, goddamn kids.
Yeah. And it was so funny. Just
that they'll understand.
Yeah, like, really quick, just, like, a really quick story. Go ahead. So, like, sometimes you know how sometimes they just wake up from their naps, or, like, they don't, like, do the proper timing of their schedule. That'll, like, mess up their schedule every now and then. And I remember I would tell my husband, like, oh, great, I'm gonna be fucked. I'll say it like that. And then he's like, damn, like, why do you have to say it like that? And I'm like, say what? And he's like, that you're going to be fucked. I'm like, babe, I don't mean it like I'm fucked, I hate my life, fuck my son. Like, yeah, that's what you're thinking. I'm like, I'm just expressing it. That's just a mom way to express.
But if you call your sister?
Yeah, and if I call her and I tell her, she's fine with it. But it was like a couple of days later, he went to, like, his friend's, like, something for his friend. He came back, and I didn't go because I wasn't feeling well. And he came back, and he's like, babe, he's like, whatever wife, he's like, yeah, the little girl was being bad and like she took like a late nap and then she said, oh great, I'm gonna be fucked. Yeah. And he's all like, and I noticed they talk like you. Yeah.
And he's all analyzing, he's all like,
and he's all like, oh, like it's crazy, like they're like you as fuck. And I'm like, babe, I'm telling you, like, you just gotta understand, like, the mom talk, like, you know.
It's because
she doesn't mean it that way. It's just the way you talk and express, like, oh, great, I'm fucked now. You know, it's almost like a humor, like, a type of situation. You're making humor to, like a situation, you know?
Yeah, that's gonna be stressful.
Yeah, because you already know.
Be fucked.
Yeah, and I just laughed, and I was like, dude, I get it. Like, you know, I get it. So now he was like, oh, okay, like, I get it. Like, that's just the way you guys talk and express. And I'm like, yeah. So he hasn't, like, said anything since that. But it was just funny that he came back and told me, like, he had noticed, and he's like, oh, she's spoke this.
He's like, oh my god.
He's all amazed.
Like, he's like, you sound like my wife.
Yeah, and he was just, I don't know, it's, like, funny. So.
I feel like if the roles were reversed, I feel like Tonya would say the same thing, like, damn, if I go right now, I'm gonna be fucked.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I feel like if the roles were reversed and he had to go to Home Depot for something, but the baby was in the middle of his nap, I know Tonya would be like, damn, I'm gonna be fucked if I wake him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would apply across the board.
And I know maybe some people even here, some moms would be like, oh, I wouldn't say that. You know, that's fine. Like I said, that's fine. I mean, everybody's different. There's going to be moms that are like that. That's fine.
I don't want no mom friend like that.
We're just not gonna hang out. I'm way too raw.
Don't drop a comment because I'm gonna be in there like, oh yeah. Well, this is not your mom tribe, girl. Go somewhere else. You need to go somewhere else because I don't have time for anything like that. I like to be honest too and like raw about the kids and just like what it really is like, you know. And it's like stressful, it's exhausting, it's rewarding, it's beautiful, it's not beautiful, it takes the life out of you sometimes. It just really, it's a freaking roller coaster. But it's rewarding. My middle child, I'm super close with my middle child. I'm close to all my kids. And I have like a different relationship with all my kids. But my middle child just told me, I don't allow electronics at my house. So I don't have PlayStations, phones, tablets, nothing at my house. They're required to go outside. And my middle child was like, you know, Mom, I know I have a phone at Dad's. He's like, but I would literally, he said, trade all my time at Dad's, and I'll just go one day to use my phone one day and just be with you the rest of the time. Aww. So he would trade all his time being on his phone, being that he has his phone, his electronics over there, his tablet, all that, just to trade it to be here at home with me. Yeah. And he tells me like this is my home. Like this is home.
Like he feels his most.
Yeah, he feels home, and he sleeps with me, and he's like. He'll be across the bed because Mila has to sleep in the middle. He'll be like, hold my hand. And he stretches his hand out and he goes to sleep like that. And I think that that's one of the most rewarding feelings ever because it tells me, like, the time that you spend with me, you do realize it's quality time. That it's not the amount of time that we spend together, but when it means something, it's just me and you. And it's valuable to him.
And the way you make him feel that he
recognizes that he's only 6 years old. Yeah. And he's only 6 years old. So what you do... take that as a lesson. Like it's about the quality, not the quantity. So if somebody's guilting you or whatever, just think about that it's about the quantity or the quality, not the quantity. So yeah, I think that's all we have for you guys about motherhood. Have you guys had any more questions, any more added topics or any other things that you want to add onto this, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to have Jeanette back to have a deeper dive into this. There's so many different aspects
to talk about.
Literally about motherhood, about marriage, about just anything in general, pregnancy. Like there's so many other things in life that we all deal with, and I want this place to be a safe space where we can say the raw things and it's a judgment-free zone. Like there's no judgment here. Yeah. Like, I'm crazy as shit, girl. And I've been through some shit, and I've done some dumb shit, and I've said some dumb shit, and I've been a raw parent, and I've been a very stressed out parent, and then I've been on the other side now, too. Yeah. Where I'm just, like, learn how to communicate.
As moms. We've all been there. Yeah. And I feel like it's really, really hard. It is hard. And I feel like it's even harder than what you think, you know. It's even harder, and there's so many different levels to it, you know, to becoming a mom, you know. And I still feel like I would not trade the experience for anything.
No, me neither. I love my kids. Yeah. They're my whole life.
Just like, even
them screaming, like, I love you.
But even just them, like, I feel like the growth, though, that you have within yourself is crazy. And it's, like, really worth it. You know, I think it's worth taking the ride.
I would have to agree with you. I think that they're worth literally every second. I think that I only envision my life like, oh, I can't wait to see what my kid does. I can't wait to see
something to look forward to.
Yeah, like I go to their games and I'm like hype about their games. They're like doing stuff for them or providing experiences for them. A lot of it is like healing my own inner child too, of things that I desired to do as a kid that I wouldn't dare put the pressure on my mom because my mom was a single mom. But, like, me knowing that those are the things that I desired as a kid, it's like I want to do those for my kids. And it just makes life so beautiful. It feels so good to, like, have them. And, like, I don't know. It's, like, such a deep, deep love. And I hope that everybody gets to experience motherhood because it's a whole different life. Yeah. Yeah. Well. With that said, we love you, kids, but we can't stand you. But you get on my nerves. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Take a Sip podcast. We will catch you guys at next week's episode.
Bye.
Bye.